I will try to see what happens after I finish my master's. Right now my priority is to graduate.
Especially for the other students who wanted to come here, we were really shocked because we didn't know how it will affect our studies.
When I heard about Brexit thing, I wasn't really worried about the master's because I thought it's gonna happen in the long term.
23rd of June 2016, the day that Britain decided to leave the European Union. It evoked a lot of emotions around the country and by extension the globe. For some of it, it was the day that the UK got its freedom back, but for others it was the biggest mistake in the history of the country. One of these uncertainties is how it will affect British higher education and more in particular the EU students studying in the UK. What is going to be the future for the successful exchange programmes between UK and EU universities? Are they going to be able to come? And if so, do they want to study in a UK that isn't part of the European Union?
I think Brexit could very much influence whether international students decide to come and study in the UK. It's very unclear at the moment what Brexit is going to mean, particularly in terms of schemes like the Erasmus placement scheme. And we hope that it won't have a large impact, but that's just not clear at the moment. And besides for the actual contractual position as far as Erasmus is concerned, I think there's also the secondary issue of perception in the minds of students from particularly the EU, but also potentially wider within the world.
So what we've been told on many occasions now is that Brexit means Brexit. That isn't really in itself an explanation. But even if we have a hard Brexit and the UK is neither a member of the European Union or of the European single market, we're still not clear what a hard Brexit would mean. Whether or not there would be specific arrangements put in place with other EU member states for example, higher education or other parts of the economy.
But what is the opinion of international students who are currently studying in the UK? A few of them talk about how they think it may impact their future.
If I get to be so lucky and so privileged to find a job here after I finish uni, then my perspective of the future here will change, obviously. But I wouldn't say that the Brexit has changed it and moved me in a different direction. Maybe it made me only become more aware and more in a sense of acting right now and doing whatever I have to in order to secure a future for myself.
If the prices were like for other international or overseas students, I wouldn't come. First of all, because it's like 2 or 3 times the normal price and I couldn't afford it. And secondly, because I know that there are other European countries in which maybe I wouldn't speak as much English as here, but at least I could pay a fair price for my studies.
Brexit is not only going to affect whether international students want to come or not, but also the country's economy.
If all of the EU students stopped coming tomorrow, if we weren't able to employ academic staff from other EU member states, that would have a tremendous impact on the UK economy. At this stage, the government has guaranteed that EU students will continue to pay the home EU fee in 2017. What will happen beyond that, we don't know in 2018. At the moment, EU students pay the same fee as home students, that's £9,000 a year for an undergraduate programme. International students pay anything between £15,000 and £25,000 per year.
I think that all this Brexit thing is bad because it will affect younger people, and those who decided or who were in favor of Brexit were old people, so they maybe not most, but many people who voted for it won't leave it, and the youngest ones who were the ones against it will suffer maybe the consequences of the referendum.
A lot of my friends love the UK so much that they were kind of worried of what is going to happen now that the Brexit is reality. But as soon as, I would say as soon as the initial shock sort of faded down, I guess that we all kind of realized that maybe it's not going to be that bad after all.
Actually, most of the people at the university, the lecturers, the students, were against the Brexit because they apparently saw the wealth of the EU and thought it would be better to stay in.
At the moment, there are approximately 125,000 students in the UK who come from other EU member states. Their net value to the UK economy is somewhere in the region of £4 billion a year. Something like 19,000 jobs in British universities are said to be contingent on the number of EU students coming to this country. There are approximately 43,000 academic staff working in UK universities who come from other EU member states.
The importance of researchers from the European Union working in UK universities is strongly underestimated.
The larger impact potentially would be lack of other EU research grants, which pay for a significant proportion of research funding that goes on at this university and at universities all over the UK and obviously all over Europe.
The UK receives somewhere in the region of another £1 billion per year in European Union sourced research grants. There are academic staff who are currently considering their positions at UK universities, and they are often the most able researchers, and their concern is the impact that Brexit will have on research funding and whether or not their research careers are better served being outside of the UK.
No one knows what will happen, but one thing is for sure. If less European students choose to study in the UK, it will have a massive impact on both society and the economy of the country.
Brexit could be damaging both for the ability of UK institutions to attract EU students, but the same could be true in the other direction of British students going to EU universities.
I kind of like to be challenged, and I kind of like to meet people from a number of backgrounds because I believe that they can teach you a lot about yourself as well as about the cultures firsthand.
England is a beautiful country, and I have to say it would be really a shame if future generations of students would not be able to make the same experiences I made here simply because of the Brexit.